Welcome to Master Your Money, Budgeting, Saving, and Debt-Free Living. I'm your host, Nate Tanner. On this show, we'll use the Triggator philosophy to help you keep your budget balanced, build your savings and investment, and knock out debt with confidence. In today's episode, we're diving into the foundation of financial transformation, your spending plan. Not your budget, your spending plan. I'll explain why that word change matters in just a minute. But first, if you're new here, welcome. And if you're back for episode 2, thank you for being part of this journey. We're not aiming for perfection, we're aiming for mastery, real, lasting, intentional control of your money. And that starts with the way you plan, spend, and take ownership of every dollar. Let's get into it. Let's be honest. When most people hear the word budget, they flinch. It feels like a financial diet, restrictive, boring, maybe even a little shame-filled. And I get it, because for a lot of us, that word is loaded. Maybe you had a parent or a loved one say, "It's not in the budget." And you remember that disappointment, the frustration, maybe even a little embarrassment or even anger. The word budget isn't a swear word, but for some of us, it may as well be. Because of your mindset, because of your experience, it triggers something. And if that's the case, let's take the pressure off. At Triggator, one of the first things we encourage, especially when someone feels that emotional trigger, is to drop the word budget when referring to how they spend their money and replace it with something better. Call it a spending plan. Because that's what it really is. It's a plan for how you're going to spend your money with intention. And just for the record, the definition of a budget is simply, quote, an estimate of income and expenditure for a set period of time. That's it. Nothing in that definition says how you should spend. Nothing says it has to be restrictive or joyless. But because of how we've experienced budgets in the past, especially when someone told us, "Sorry, it's not in the budget," the word itself can carry a lot of emotional baggage. So give yourself permission to call it a spending plan for now. As you apply the principle and start seeing progress, your old budget trigger will get replaced with positivity, clarity, and confidence. And eventually, you'll understand exactly why this so-called awful word is the first pillar of financial transformation. When you call it a spending plan, something shifts. A budget feels like rules. A spending plan feels like freedom. A budget feels restrictive. A spending plan feels like clarity. And it's not about limiting yourself, it's about leading yourself. It's about choosing how you spend instead of wondering where your money went. And if you're thinking, "I'm just not a budget person," let me tell you, you already have a spending plan. If you get paid and then your money disappears without a trace, that's a plan. It's just not one that's working for you. So the question isn't, should you have a plan? The question is, what kind of plan do I want? That's why the first pillar of the Triggator method is this: budget. Or better said, create a spending plan. Because until you start telling your money where to go, it's always going to leave you behind. All right, now that we've cleared the air and given budget a mindset makeover, let's dive into what a good spending plan actually does. Because it's not just about numbers. It's about peace, confidence, control, and building a better life. So now that we've reframed the word budget and started calling it a spending plan, let's talk about what it actually does for you. Because it isn't just a good habit, it's your number one wealth building tool. First and foremost, a spending plan gives you clarity. For the first time, you're not guessing where your money went, you know exactly where it's going. And when you know where your money is going, you start to feel something most people haven't felt in years when it comes to their finances: peace. Second, it gives you confidence. When you have a plan, you can walk into the grocery store, fill your cart, and not panic at the checkout. You know what's available, you know what's off limits, and you don't have to second guess every swipe of your card. That confidence builds momentum, and momentum is what helps you keep going. Next, a spending plan reduces stress. Financial stress is often rooted in the unknown. We feel anxious when we are not sure if we can cover the bills, or when we avoid checking our bank account because we're scared of what we'll see. A spending plan removes that fog. It brings your financial reality into light so you can face it and fix it. And here's something powerful. When you're working on a spending plan, your decisions improve. You stop spending impulsively because you've already made a plan. You stop saying yes out of guilt and pressure because you can say, with honesty and integrity, that's not part of my plan right now. Think about that phrase for a second. My plan. Those two words are powerful because it means you're in control. You're not drifting. You're not reacting. You're taking ownership. It's your decision, your money, your path. And every time you follow your path, you're not just managing your money, you're mastering it. That is what this whole journey is about. Empowerment through intentional action. At Triggator, we talk about moving from reacting to mastering your money. A spending plan is where that shift begins. Instead of reacting to every bill, every emergency, every surprise expense, you start preparing, you start planning, you start leading. And that leadership over your own money is the foundation of financial freedom. But if spending plans are so powerful, why do so many people struggle to make them work? In the next section, we'll talk about why most budgets fail and how to avoid these types of traps. All right, so spending plans are powerful. They give you clarity, confidence, and control. But if that's true, why do so many people struggle to stick to one? Here's what I want you to hear loud and clear. If you have tried budgeting before and failed, it's not because you're bad with money. It's because the plan you were using didn't fit your life. Most budgets fail because they're built on perfection, not people. And people are messy. People are unpredictable. People are real. Let's cover 5 reasons why you might feel like your spending plan fails. Number 1, it's too strict. If your spending plan feels like it's a straitjacket, you're not going to stick with it. Life changes, things pop up. You need flexibility to roll with those punches. Number 2, it's too vague. A budget that says spend less or save more is like a GPS that says go somewhere. You need clarity, specific categories, and real numbers. Number 3, it ignores real life. You've got birthdays, school supplies, oil changes, holiday travel, and most budgets plan for rent, food, and gas. It's like planning for summer weather in December. It just doesn't work. Number 4, they leave out fun. Here's a big one, and I hear a lot about this. People get on this idea of, I can't do anything fun. I can't do anything at all. I can't, I've got to be so focused in my budget that I can't, have anything to spare. And, a spending plan that has no room for joy is a plan that's built to fail. And that reminds me of what I call the story of the snazzy socks. I've got a friend who has what I call a fashion passion, specifically socks. I'm talking bold colors, wild patterns, toe pouches, and even socks covered in cats hugging puppies. He wears socks and sandals just so people can see them, and honestly, I respect that. Now, imagine if my friend sat down to build a spending plan, and he only allocated money for plain white 20 pair for $5 socks at Walmart. That plan wouldn't last a week. Why? Because it's not him. It doesn't reflect what he actually values and enjoys. When you leave out the things that matter to you, your fun, your passion, your version of snazzy socks, you're building a plan that you're going to resent. A plan without joy will always feel like punishment, and no one sticks with punishment for long. So build fun into your plan. Even $10 of guilt-free spending can keep you grounded and consistent. Number 5, it's not updated. Life moves fast. Your spending plan should too. One of the biggest mistakes people make is creating a plan and never looking at it again. If you're not reviewing and adjusting regularly, especially at the beginning, your plan is going to fall out of sync with real life, and that's when frustration sets in. Now here's what we found at Triggator. In the first 90 days, weekly adjustments are essential. You're building new habits. You're figuring out what works. You're learning your rhythms. But over time, as mastery increases, the need for weekly adjustments starts to fade. Monthly or bi-weekly check-ins can do just fine, because by then, your spending plan isn't just a tool, it's a habit. It's second nature. But early on, make it a priority to sit down once a week, even if it's just for 10 to 15 minutes. It's one of the simplest ways to keep your plan alive and working for you. Here's the hard truth. Perfection is one of the biggest budget killers out there. You mess up one week and suddenly you feel like a failure. You overspend by $40 and you throw away your whole plan. But listen, it isn't about perfection. It's about progress. It's about learning. Every spending plan gets messy sometimes. That's normal. But mastery means adjusting and staying in the game, not giving up when it's not perfect. So if most budgets fail because they're too strict, vague, or unrealistic, what does work? I'm going to walk you through 4 keys to building a spending plan that actually works in real life and sticks. These are 4 simple but powerful keys to building a spending plan that fits your life and helps you stay consistent. Key number 1, start with your real income. Not your dream income, not your bonus that might come up, your real regular income. And hey, if you've got variable income, I get it. I spent years in jobs where income wasn't predictable. I was a server at a steakhouse, a pizza delivery driver, a rideshare driver, and even a mobile DJ. I've lived those weeks where a Friday night tip were make or break it. I know how unsettling it can feel when you don't know exactly what's coming in, but I promise you, you can still build a plan. The key? Start with your minimum. What is the lowest amount you can reasonably count on during a slow week? That is your baseline. Then, when those unexpected high points come, and they will, use the overflow to build margin. So margin is another word for kind of savings that I like to throw around sometimes where, you want to build a cushion, you want to build margin, you want to build something up so that you can use it later. So with this, you can save it, you can use it to pay off some debt, or you can use it to build up an emergency fund. Wherever you are in your financial journey, put that towards that next goal. That's how you turn inconsistency into confidence, by giving yourself permission to plan small and build from there. Now, if you're someone who does have regular predictable income, first of all, celebrate that. That consistency is a huge asset. It gives you a strong foundation to build from. But don't let it trick you into thinking you don't need a spending plan, because even steady money can slip through your fingers if not given direction. Use that stability as a tool. Lean into the structure. Predictable money gives you the perfect environment to start building lasting habits without the emotional roller coaster. So whether your income is variable or stable, the key is the same. Know what's coming in and give every dollar a job from there. Which leads me to key 2. Give every dollar a job. This is classic Triggator. Every dollar has a job, a name, and a destiny. That means no leftovers. No whatever's left at the end of the month. Every dollar in your plan should be assigned to something on purpose, even if it's just sitting in savings or going to a fun money category. Unassigned dollars tend to disappear. Assigned dollars start building the life you want. And I want to go even deeper on that word destiny. Because when you start thinking of your money in this way, it becomes more than math. It becomes mission. Some dollars in your plan have a destiny to provide you with your needs, things like food, rent, utilities. Some have a destiny to give you joy, like entertainment, hobbies, or that weekend getaway that you've been dreaming about. Some dollars are meant to multiply. These are your savings, investment, and future building funds. And others have the destiny to help, whether it's a donation, a gift to a friend in need, or a cause that matters to you. Giving is not just generous, it's powerful. This is a big part of the Triggator philosophy. We believe in financial stewardship that includes charity and contribution, because money is at its best when it flows outward, not just inward. So when you sit down to make your spending plan, think of your dollars like a team. Each one has a job, each one has a name, and each one has a destiny to fulfill through you. But wait, what do I do if my son comes home with an invitation to a friend's birthday party and now I have to buy a gift? Well, doesn't that bust my budget? Spoil my spending plan? It could, if you're not prepared. But here's the thing, those kind of expenses really aren't surprises. They're just unscheduled, and that means you can plan for them. The solution? Give that job to some dollars. Create a category in your spending plan called Life Happens. This is your catch-all for those random, incidental moments, birthday gifts, last-minute school supplies, a neighbor's fundraiser, or anything else that pops up. When you fund your life happens category, you're giving yourself a grace cushion. And when those things come up, and they will, you're not scrambling or overspending. You're ready. And hey, if you don't use it that month, great. Roll it forward, build it up, or repurpose it for your next financial milestone. That's what a real-world spending plan does. It plans for real life. And that brings us to key 3, plan for financial gators. This is where the Triggator name really comes into play, because one of the most frustrating financial moments is when you finally start making progress with your money, and then bam, something pops up and drags you underwater. The car breaks down. The kid needs braces. You forgot about that back-to-school shopping or that once-a-year insurance premium. Those aren't surprises. They are financial gators. They are always there, just below the surface, waiting for their moment. And that's why most people feel like they're stuck in a cycle. They budget for the basics, rent, groceries, gas, but forget to plan for those less frequent but guaranteed expenses. That's when the alligator strikes. But when you build out those things into your spending plan before they happen, you're ready. They don't feel like an emergency. They feel like a Tuesday. We teach something called sinking funds, which is a fancy word for saying, let's set aside a little now for something we know is coming later. Whether it's car repairs, birthdays, Christmas, medical costs, or other things that happen less regularly but happen, put a few dollars away each paycheck for those categories. It's not about saving the full amount all at once. It's about building the cushion ahead of time. Financial mastery isn't about avoiding the gators. It's about spotting them early and being prepared when they show up. That's what planning does. It turns chaos into calm. And that's the heartbeat of the Triggator mindset. Key number 4 is adjust weekly for the first 90 days. One of the biggest reasons that, like we discussed, that spending plans fall apart is because they get ignored. Life changes and your plan needs to change with it. That's why here at Triggator, we recommend checking in and adjusting your spending plan weekly for the first 90 days. It's kind of like going to the gym. You don't get stronger by just showing up once a month. You build momentum through consistency. Same goes for your money. Weekly check-ins help you stay connected. You catch the problem early, spot the patterns, and make confident decisions in real time. Here's the rhythm we recommend. Set the plan, track the actual, adjust as needed. And when there's a difference between plan and actual, that's not failure, it's feedback. Approach it like Goldilocks. Did you overspend in a category? That might have been a little too hot. Did you underspend? Maybe that was too cold. Or did you hit it just right? That's the sweet spot. But the point is, all 3 give you information. And yes, you can underspend. But there's something important. Underspending doesn't always mean you're winning. Sometimes it means you're depriving yourself of something essential. Let's say you budget for heating, but in an effort to save money, you keep the thermostat at 45 degrees. That's not frugal, that's freezing. And it's a sign that your plan might need some rebalancing. When you notice you underspend in a category, ask yourself, am I underspending because I don't need it? Or is it because I'm afraid to spend on myself? In those cases, don't pat yourself on the back, adjust your plan. A good spending plan is flexible. If you overspend on a want, consider shifting that extra to an underspent category. That's not failure, it's financial leadership. It means you're seeing the full picture and prioritizing what truly matters. Most weekly reviews take just 10 to 15 minutes. It's not about obsessing, it's about staying engaged. That rhythm builds trust in yourself. It strengthens your mindset. It helps you catch momentum early. After the first 90 days, you may find that you only need to check in weekly or monthly. And that's awesome. But in the beginning, weekly adjustments are the key to mastery because you're not just managing money, you're training your brain to lead with clarity, grace, and consistency. Would you plant a garden and never water it? This is your financial garden. Water it weekly and watch your confidence grow. So now you've got the 4 keys. Now you know how to build a spending plan that works. You know what to expect and how to assign every dollar and how to prepare for life's curveballs. But before you can plan where you want to go, you have to know where you're starting from. That's what your first challenge is all about. Before you can master your money, we have to know where we are starting from. It's like planning a trip to Disneyland. You've got to know the departure city. If you live in Texas but plan the trip as if you're leaving from Utah, you're not going to get there. Same is true with your finances. So if you're financially in Texas but pretending you're in Utah, you're going to feel lost, frustrated, and confused every step of the way. So the first step in our journey is this: find out exactly where you are right now. Here's your challenge. I want you to go back and review the last month of your spending. Start by logging into your bank and downloading a CSV file of all your transactions for the last 30 days. Then open it in your favorite spreadsheet program, Excel, Google Sheets, or whatever you're most comfortable with. Once it's open, sort the list by the descriptions that are listed. That should group similar merchants and vendors together: Amazon purchases, fast food visits, grocery runs, subscription services, and so on. Now, go through and assign each transaction a category in a blank column next to it. For example, McDonald's, that's dining out. Amazon, could be shopping. Costco, maybe groceries. You get the idea. Once you've labeled everything, do another sort, this time by your spending categories. That will group all the dining out together, all the groceries together, and so on. Now, here's the cool part. Most spreadsheet programs will show you the total when you select a group of numbers. Just click and highlight all of the amounts in that category and check the bottom corner. It'll show you the sum. Boom, now you know how much you spent each category over the past month. This moment may be eye-opening. For some, it might be a little uncomfortable. You might think, did I really spend over $500 on McNuggets last month? And hey, maybe you did. But don't let guilt or shame take over. Like the wise Rafiki said in The Lion King, "Oh yes, the past can hurt, but the way I see it, you can either run from it or learn from it." This is your chance to learn from it, to make different choices, to build something better starting today. You might find categories to reduce, subscriptions you forgot about, or spending that no longer lines up with your values. This is your starting point, not your finish line. From here, we build forward. And hey, if this exercise teaches you something, or you just want to share a win or a wake-up call, email me at podcast@Triggator.com. I'd love to hear what you discovered and maybe even share your story in a future episode. Let's wrap up today's episode with a quick win. A small, simple action that you can take, a small, simple action that can give you more control starting right now. Here it is. Create a separate checking account for one specific category that tends to get out of hand. For a lot of people, that's groceries. For others, it's dining out, gas, and maybe even Amazon. Pick one category that always seems to go over budget, or one that you never really kept track of well, and give it its own account. Here's how it works. Transfer the planned amount for that category into that account each payday. Use only that account or debit card for that purchase type. When the money's gone, it's gone, and you stop spending. That's built-in accountability without having to check spreadsheets every time you buy a burrito. This simple separation keeps your main account cleaner, makes it easier to track specific spending habits, and gives you an instant way to stay in control. And don't overthink it. This doesn't need to be complicated. Most banks or credit unions will let you set up a second checking account for free or even create sub-accounts. You can also do this digitally with apps like Chime, Ally, or Capital One 360. It's a simple change, but trust me, it works. One category, one account, more peace. All right, let's land the plane. If this episode gave you clarity, motivation, or even just one aha moment, I want to invite you to keep going. First, make sure you've subscribed or following the podcast so you don't miss what's coming up next. We're just getting started, and I've got tons of tools, stories, and mindset shifts headed your way. Second, if you haven't yet, go do the challenge. Download your transactions, sort them, and see where you are today. This is your first step towards financial mastery. And finally, I want to hear from you. If you've had a breakthrough, if you've realized something new about your spending, or even if you're struggling and don't know where to start, send me a message at podcast@Triggator.com. This podcast isn't just a one-way street. It's a community. And your story, your questions, your experience, it matters here. If you found this helpful, would you do me a favor and leave a quick review or rating wherever you're listening. It helps others find the show and tells me that we're making a difference. And don't forget, you can also connect with Triggator on social media. We're on X, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Just search @Triggator and come hang out. Let me leave you with this. You don't need to be perfect to master your money. You just need to be present. You took a step today. You listened. You learned. Maybe even you saw something in your spending that opened your eyes. That's not failure, that's growth. You are not behind, you are not broken, and you are absolutely not stuck. You are exactly where you need to be to take the next step. This is how we do it at Triggator. Budget, save, pay off debt. Or as you now know, create a spending plan, build margin, and take back control. This is Master Your Money, Budget, Saving, and Debt-Free Living. And your journey isn't just possible, it's already begun. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.